Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Melissa Miller, host of The Chosen Heroes, and I'm so glad that you could join me here today. We have a very special guest, and she has been on the podcast before, and there has been some recent events that we felt it would be best that we would do a follow-up episode so she could discuss those with us, and her name is Dawn Solomon. So she'll be up shortly, but let's kick it off for the Targeted Justice news and review for this week.
In 2021, FBI Director Chris Wray met with DIA Director Lieutenant General Scott Barrier so he could obtain all of the terrorist screening database records. MARS stands for Machine Assisted Analytic Rapid Repository System. It is the DIA's name for an all-source intelligence database. It is grossly illegal because it is an extension of an existing database. It assumes that U.S. civilians and international civilians are now military targets. The system uses location-based object services, meaning that it knows exactly where you are located 24/7. This is a violation of federal law, the U.S. Constitution, and the Geneva Conventions. The Peraton Corporation is now leading an effort to violate your constitutional rights by filling the military database with your exact GPS coordinates 24/7. Interestingly, Peraton Corporation should sue Northrop for breaching the purchase contract and failing to disclose that the project is grossly illegal.
Lynn Scott Hagerman speaks with Anna Toledo, attorney for Targeted Justice, to expose the massive scale of government weaponization targeting thousands and thousands of innocent Americans.
Former Congressman Curt Weldon confirms there are DEW and neuroweapons. Weldon was a vice chair of the House Homeland Security Committee. He began this warning back in 1997. You can watch this full clip of Weldon in an interview with James Corbett posted to the official Corbett Report Rumble channel.
Dr. Engel is a brave woman and a targeted law-abiding citizen. She is an inspiration to all of us. She will be discussing her published books about MKUltra, Project Monarch, and human trafficking. Targeted Justice estimates that 50% of female, targeted law-abiding citizens may be experiencing rape and human trafficking without knowing it. Please join us in supporting this important podcast and stay tuned for announcements.
Targeted Justice would like to thank all of the volunteers and members that made Targeted Action 2025 a big success. We rallied at the Lincoln and Jefferson Memorial. We did banners and flyers at the FBI and DOJ headquarters. And we had several meetings with congressmen and senators. We also distributed hundreds of flyers on Embassy Row, where more than 100 international embassies are located to help targeted law-abiding citizens in foreign countries. With the help of the National Guard, no one was arrested or a victim of a street crime. Our fight is far from over. If you want to know what you can do to help, please go to our page on how you can fight back. We have proven that TIs can safely visit Washington, D.C. and make a difference. You can do it too.
Calling all digital warriors. Please share, repost, copy and paste this video on all social media platforms. We are still looking for volunteers. Let us know how you can help and the skill sets that you have by emailing us at tjustice2@proton.me. Put volunteer in the subject line. You can watch Targeted Justice videos by going to the following link. Buy some cool gifts, shirts, hoodies, cups, keychains, and more by heading to the following links. Please consider donating. Targeted Justice is non-profit, and the donations are tax-deductible. Thank you again for watching this video. God bless. God bless.
Awesome news video, as always, by Sean. So I want to give a shout out to Target Source LLC. Armando is, it just amazes me. He is constantly just time after time improving upon the design of everything that he offers. And all of that began because his wife was targeted and it was experiencing the directed energy and the voice to skull. So I can't say enough about just how amazing his talent is. And if you have questions about any of his products, especially, the most popular would be the Silent Night, reach out to silentnight.source@gmail.com. I want to give a shout out to Tranquility at tievents.org, the amazing work that she does in organizing all events that are targeted, individual related. Every day of the week, you can plug in with the community. There's nothing more compassionate and understanding. Now, we know that, personalities get involved too, but our community understands what we're going through like no one else can. So, even though we might have personality differences, we still need to connect with one another and find the ones that you connect and plug into the podcast, the teleconferences. Tranquility is doing a movie night once a week. There's always a way. The chats that are part of all of the different meetings too. This is how you can connect in with other people, people who understand what you're going through like no one else. I want to announce my guest next week will be Audra, and on the 5th of October, Melody Hopkins will be joining me. And on September 27th, I will have a follow-up meeting with teleconference meeting with Jamie Rice, who is with Quantum Reality Studies. We do the Beyond the Looking Glass Targeted Survivor Counterintelligence Training, and the next one is on the 27th. So this is the tools, the kryptonite, our inner healing and expanding and recognizing who we are, not the labels that have been thrown at us. All of that has come up to when you were targeted was kind of like the building, foundation and blocks. I recognize that. Some of the hardships that I went in prior to me being targeted were the very teachers and the necessary wisdom that I was going to need when the targeting journey was activated on me. So again, it's about the perspective, letting go of all of that, that is the untruths and the labels that we've had to carry, the programming and the brainwashing of what the media does and the lies and the deceptions. We are the truth speakers. We are the ones knowing what, this world is capable of, and those in the power that allow it to persist upon innocent civilians. So I encourage you to join in if you haven't attended a meeting in the past. I have quite a few channels. My most popular one, the one I'm on the most, is X. Shout out to Sean for creating the Chosen Heroes Shorts archives, which is the smaller version, videos and key moments within each guest appearance. So Sean is continuously uploading those shorts to that specific page on X. And recently he just created a Chosen Heroes Shorts Instagram page that he is helping me manage there, and much appreciated. All right. So I'm going to bring up our guest in just a minute. I'm going to play a bio intro video for her. For those that weren't familiar from her, last appearance on the Chosen Heroes earlier this year, I believe that was in June. You can go to YouTube and play that video. Not YouTube, sorry. Go on X or Rumble because YouTube took it down. So we know what it's like to be censored, and YouTube decided to take that video down. So let me go ahead and play the intro now.
It started when COVID hit. I did get cancer. When I went to Cleveland Clinic, they wanted to remove everything of my female parts. I was really, really sick. So I knew there was something wrong. My bones hurt. to like even raise my arms up. So there was something still going on with my body. I was for sure that I was going to die still. I didn't know how to work a microscope. I didn't know how to read blood. I didn't know how to do none of that. So I had to like Google and YouTube and learn everything to do. I have a science degree, but I still didn't know how to work a microscope, right? I went home, but I still felt sick. So I got the microscope. And when I looked in it, is when I started seeing all the black, but I seen the black moving. So I thought there's got to be a parasite or something in there. I seen the blood make a big difference and a big change. And I thought, okay, this has to be a parasite and not cancer. So I started going down the road of testing a bunch of medicines and stuff up against it. My blood wasn't the only one that was alone like that. A lot of my family members' blood was black too. And that had me concerned because if I'm sick, I could imagine that they were sick too as well. The parasites, I had 3 of them. So I was going to take them up to the hospital and let them see that I had, a sample there so that way they could test to see what it was and let them know that that's what's in my blood. Told me that I was a schistosomosis stage or something like that, where things weren't really biting me. There was nothing underneath my skin. I didn't feel anything. It was all in my head, that I was more or less crazy. And so they put me on a 72-hour hold. I will say this, it is in our water. And you could get it from bathing in the water too. It doesn't just mean drinking it. You could actually get it as soon as you touch it, it penetrates through your skin and it's in your bloodstream within like an hour to 2. So then that's when I started tying everything together and I heard God, and it was more powerful than anything I've ever heard in my life. So I was told by him that my whole purpose of being born was to expose this. And I dove in really hard because I wanted to know what this was, right? I had to. And you don't stop when you hear that voice. You just keep going until you find out what this is. That's what I wanted to get out there to everybody, is what I've come across.
Just an amazing story. So glad that Dawn can join us again today. So let me bring her up to the stage. Dawn, can you rotate your camera? Because there you go. All right, perfect. Well, so I'm so glad that you could join me today. You've had a lot of things happening since the last time that we spoke, and
Yes.
in fact, I mean, this is, when Dawn shared this information with me, I was like, this is what, a targeted person in a journey consists of. Here, Dawn is, taking the initiative upon herself to do the research when, doctors and facilities could not help her. And then her, science degree kind of kicked in and was like activated with her to explore and to start looking and see what was going on. So she started to look at her blood, and then she found, these were during the C virus times, right? That she saw all this stuff in her blood, and the graphene and the goo and the clotting and all of this stuff. And so she was very vocal about her findings and her research and getting it out there. She'll talk to us today about how her X account got shut down after mentioning one of the government's projects and all of this. But more importantly, again, circling back, the targeted journey where her truth and speaking out, we know that, pharma is a money-making machine, and it's about symptom management and treatment, but not root cause. Dawn was not going to relent on finding the root cause. And then when she started to get, a following and getting, attention by a lot of people, all around the world, and even recently, renowned doctors and, those that are scientific were taking keen interest in her findings and her work. And then she was subjected to retaliation, an explosion in her home when her family was there in it at nighttime, and the cameras being conveniently shut off 10 minutes before people entered her home and turned on a gas valve, and then the explosion occurs, and then what was it, 10 minutes afterwards, the cameras magically come back on, right, Don? So I'll bring up the slides, but can you tell us, was there anything specifically going on right before that event? Was there anything suspicious or something that was foretelling about that someone was about to retaliate on you?
No, I didn't know for that night. A lot of suspicious stuff happened. I was able to piece it together later. That it was because we all thought it was an accident at first, right? Until we realized later that there was no way that dryer was moved and could bump that wall outlet of the propane valve. And I noticed that my cameras were turned off. I noticed that my fence was broken where they stepped on it to hop over it. My dogs barked that night. I was in the pool, so I didn't know, but I had came back in the house during the explosion, so I was inside the home at the time when it exploded. But yeah, so at the time I didn't know, but later on I kept piecing things together. So
I mean, the pictures are very telling. So there there was a valve that was, turned. It had to be physically turned on. You had activity. Like your dogs, you have dogs, so they're letting you know that they're hearing something and everything. And so what these doors that were in the area where the valve was turned on in the laundry room, did they just explode off from the explosion? Or
yeah, the was pretty severe because it blew off the doors to the laundry room, and then it blew off the doors to the other room too. And then during that, it still came out down the hallway to the kitchen, and then blew out the window to my left because I was at the kitchen table, so it blew out the window to my left. Then blew out all the glass that then drains the metal out of my Tesla car, right? So the glass blew out pretty hard with the force that it was able to actually peel metal shavings out of my car.
I mean, it's significant impact. And also, it speaks to, when you're covered by God, nothing can harm you. And obviously, God intervened in this, planned event. Neighbors caught on camera a couple of a getaway, a car waiting for the ones that came into the house to do this attempt on Dawn and her family and her animals. And so with her neighbors' footage, and then again, we know that the cameras can be shut off and manipulated. As we've said many times on, Targeted Justice has, and on the podcast itself, that, if it's, Wi-Fi, and it can be intercepted, especially, with people who have that skill set, or, those in 3-letter agencies and such as well, can do that type of manipulation. So this here is kind of like this first picture, is that valve that was turned, right, Dawn? And then
Yes.
can you want to explain these pictures?
So the valve that was turned, these were just ones that were like that had like I had a cat or that the cat would go in and go to the bathroom and stuff, and that's all melted. And so that was just what was underneath the valve was the cat litter box. So, but it's all
Oh,
melted there.
wow. Wow. I mean, it's just, obviously, again, divine intervention. It, when you have a calling on your life to get truth out, and God is giving you the information to pursue and to share, and it's just like your mission is activated. And I think, like, for a lot of us who have become targeted, it became very clear that God has a calling on our lives, and we are the ones that can shine the light of truth in very dark times. And it's very crucial times, as many things are coming to light. And that's all by divine plan and intervention. So amazing. And so let's go to the next. So that was just like a screenshot of
The neighbor's camera.
the neighbor's camera. So there was a couple of people on foot that got into a vehicle that had the headlights on. The second picture is where when they were leaving her property, they broke the fence. And the third is her fur baby that hair was singed from the explosion itself. And you had family members in the home as well. Just no regard or respect for life at all. These type of people who want to silence the truth, and they don't care, how many people or animals are in the crossfires of it. It's all about them sequestering, the truth. So it's unfortunate that, people that are so corrupt, and it's all about greed, power, and control, and the links that they go to keep the truth hidden. So we have to commend, Dawn for her bravery in getting this information out. And I mean, the last time that you were on, it's just amazing what you discovered in the blood. So I'm going to bring up one of the images. So this is how all of it started. You're doing research. This is one of those parasites that is in the blood. Now, Dawn has taken my blood, my husband's blood, my friend's blood, and there's a common thread. These parasites are in all of us, and some different types. Some of the round ones are more like you had said in the previous episode, like the CRISPR technology. But this one here with the huge tentacles, and they're very smart. And I think a lot of it, some of this can be frequency activated, but they will link themselves together when they're, in unison. It's like to form like this big link. Let me see if I can get one of those up on the screen here. So when the herbal, remedy, which was the Tulsi, the holy basil, solution was added to the blood. You see the blood, it can have the graphene, it's dark and clumpy. And then we had discussed on the previous episode that introducing the holy basil solution, the Tulsi, into it, it starts to dissolve the graphene. It starts to eat away at the parasites. And then what they do is they try to bond together like a fort to try to run away from, to build up their strength from the solution. So you see one in here. You want to talk about that long one and then the round ones that are in there?
Yeah, this was one of the parasites that I had on my screen at the microscope, and I walked away from it, left it on screen for like 12 hours, right? And so people ask me all the time, how do you know they're eating the blood? Well, when I went back 12 hours later, the blood was gone, but the parasite's still there. So in the next shot that I sent you, it shows all the blood gone and the parasite still in the, and I didn't do anything but walk away and left it on the screen for 12 hours. So in that 12-hour time, it ate pretty much all the blood that was around it.
So it's eating the blood. So it's like,
Right.
That's like it's food, it's energy. I would say that that's probably its energy source, right? And
Right.
it needs that. I'll get to the ones from I had put some in the slide as well. Let me bring this one up. Please tell me what is going on with this thing.
Okay. That is one of the parasites that came out. Okay. I don't know the skull, the white skull, but that was the part of the parasite that is on the other side. And it looked like a dragon head on the other side, and there's a dragon head at the bottom of this one too. And it's not open, but it's a nematode, right? So that's the head, like the nematode.
Okay, yeah, your audio is cutting in and out a little bit. It happens. I mean, typically when we want to talk about things like this, we do have some audio tech. I mean, this is just mind-boggling that this would come out of the human body, but it's reality, folks. So I know, just by seeing what was in my own blood. Here I am. I've been detoxing for a year and pretty heavy. It's on a regular basis. And even with that amount of detoxing, there were still things, present. But the good thing is there's things that can be done to help with it, which we can get into. Let me bring this up. This one, I can't play it right now. Like the videos that you sent me, this format, this streaming format doesn't support, .mov files. But what I'll do is I'll share my screen and then I can play the first one. But can you tell me what the glowing images are? This was something that you saw outside?
Yes. Yes. So outside, a lady over here, and I'm like, look, that's the spaceships that I'm talking about. She's like, and those were screenshots off the video because we have the video too, right? So the yellow one that's right there on the glowing ones, when I was parasites that were in the body, the one to the left here, it blows that same gas out of the dragon parasite that's in the screen, right? It blows that same bubble that is exactly as the one in the sky. So I'm like, what is going on? What's the connection here, right? Because whichever in the
Right,
sky
yes.
is.
And then you found on the NIH website where they discuss, what they code name dragon. And
Right.
do you want to talk about that?
Yes. Okay. So it's Dragon 2. It's connected to another site that does the serpentine, which is like the C. elegans, kind of like in a way it goes, they're nematodes, right? So they're able to go into our body, and let's say they did serpent H1, okay, that would trigger our helix in our body, okay? So that would turn on our helix. They did a bunch of serpents, which all kind of relate back to the SARS-CoV-2 and 1. And so they're able to create all this out of proteins in our body that relate to those certain serpentines.
Well, and I mean, the images are very serpent looking, exactly like to the right. The two on the far right hand side, that was the one on the bottom was taken out of a banana, if you can imagine that. So, and then the close up of the head is above it on the right, and it does look very, like a little dragon. It does look very serpent like.
Yes, it does.
So below the two glowing images in the middle, what is that image? Is that of the blood and the dark, or what is that?
Okay, yes, that is of the blood. That is somebody's blood that I tested that family, and it shows two dragons in that video there. So yeah, it's quite disturbing when you see that in somebody's blood. You can see the blood cells above it. So it's actually of the blood. So they can't see it's not in the blood because that's they're in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're
And so
having
one,
a
it looks like it's
lot
got
of technical, audio. You're really, like every other word is being distorted. I don't know if it's like the internet connection or Wi-Fi, maybe that is being, interfered with, likely. But I don't know if it would help if you logged off and then back in to see if that would help clear it up. Because I really want them to be able to hear, what you have to say, and we'll play these videos too. So maybe while you disconnect, I can. I'll wait for you to get back and just give some back history.
Okay, I'll hurry.
Okay. So what we'll do is I'm going to do a recap of a few points that we had made the last time. And again, recently Dawn had her X page taken down after mentioning one of the projects, and that's Project Shimmer, which she'll talk to us about. Within two hours of it being posted on X, it was her whole account was taken down because of it. So we know what censorship is all about, right? Especially not, getting the truth. One thing that we also will cover when Dawn rejoins is a revisit of the website. And that is, it's an NIH, that's the National Institute of Health website. And it's the ClinVar section of that website. And when Dawn and I were catching up and recently, I've always had, a thought that maybe, some of what, leads up to, and, I think that targeting can be generational. I think it can be genetics related. I think it can be situational, meaning something occurred and then it resulted thereafter, and even circumstantial. So I've been really thinking about this. There's so many layers of the targeting experience and journey, and somehow or another we all, fit into this bigger piece. Okay. Hi, Dawn. Yeah, it's still choppy. Do you have any equipment running?
Let
Or
me try to turn off. No, let me do something on my phone really quick. Hold on, let me see.
Sure. All right, and as Dawn is doing that, then we'll put her back on the stage. So back to my point, the targeted landscape it consists of a lot of components, right? But the big picture of it is, Dawn stumbled upon this information by just doing research on her own blood because she needed to get well. She had turbo cancer after the shot, and she wasn't getting any better. So she became, targeted because of this. But what we've found out, Dawn, in our last discussion is this has probably been going on a long time with you, especially when you found your name in the NIH's website with all of your genetics loaded, your DNA loaded out there. And if you don't mind, I'd like to share my screen and show that website and
Yes.
what you discovered by, searching for your name and a program name. And then it tells you how many of your DNA components is related to that program. I did this on myself, and by searching my name and MK Ultra and Monarch, and I came up. And I didn't come up in like the SARS 1 or 2. I wasn't vaccinated, but I was in another one that Dawn can talk to us about. But I was also in Project Shimmer. My name came up with that also. Not everybody's going to be in this database, but I'm going to have to share my screen. So that means I can't see my podcast. So I'm going to have to rely on all of you to tell me if you can see this screen, because I've had to do this before and sometimes it's kind of, hit or miss. Okay.
Am I sounding better or is it still choppy?
Yes, that is better. That is
Okay.
better. Let's see. I'm going to hit allow.
Okay.
Okay. So can everybody see? Let me do this. Can you see the NIH, the National Library of Medicine, the NIH website now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So when you go to this page, it's ncbi.nlm.nih.gov, or you can just Google NIH and ClinVar, which is CLINVAR. So this little drop-down menu is very important. You want to make sure it's on ClinVar. And then Dawn, if you don't mind, I'll use your name if that's okay with you.
That's fine.
Because you have a lot of the variances based off of the DNA. So you can see where it says the germline is 126,249. So can you tell us what that means? And all of these genes that are listed are related to genes within you, correct? And then what is very interesting is if you click on just any one of these genes, it'll tell you a possible condition that can result as related to that gene component. So it gives you a little bit of detail, but down here is very, very telling. It tells you who is accessing this information. So in this one, it says LabCorp, which is a very popular U.S. lab facility, genetics. Okay, interesting. And so here's a few either, universities. And so these people are looking at this information. They're reviewing the status, the classification that was made. Here is Center for Genomics. Wow. Related to a Children's Hospital of Chicago. I mean, these are international entities that are looking at the DNA that was loaded for Dawn. And I'm going to go back a screen. So do you want to kind of give us an understanding of what is ClinVar and what, I mean, it had to be very shocking for you to see that your information, which you had said, tied back to actual, either doctor visits or lab orders, lab work that was ordered for you, that somehow just got uploaded in the NIH website. Don, are you still there?
Yeah, I lost you for a minute there. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. You're kind of choppy. Can you talk to us about, how did you discover this website and that you were in it?
Yeah, you're sounding choppy too. Am I still sounding choppy?
It's still a little bit choppy, yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm telling you, they're really packing this, aren't they? How's that better?
Yeah, really I can't hear you. But I can tell you that, for me, it was my former married name. And then I also just recently discovered that my mother and my mother's mother are in this database, which is very shocking. I thought mine was related to a time because when I was married previously, I did consent to a DNA like spit analysis at a thyroid doctor's office, and I thought, well, maybe that is how I got put in here. But when I saw that my mother, it's in her maiden name, and my grandmother is in her maiden name, which was interesting. But my mother and my grandmother have very unusual, maiden names. So it really does cut it down. And then when you start reviewing the information that is there and you see that it kind of correlates to maybe medical conditions that they have that is, genetic, related, then it kind of tells the tale like, okay, there's the validation. So like for me, I was even Googling because my former last name is very different. I mean, it's not very common with my first name. So I even tried to do due diligence to see, okay, could it be someone else that had my former, married name? But then when I started looking at the line by line items, and it said, mother, history of breast cancer, right? So at that time, I didn't know my mother was in this database, but then I knew it was me. So the big question of it is how in the world this is out there in plain sight, right?
Mhm.
It's like a hidden little gem out there. If you don't know, you don't know, right? If you don't know
Right.
what to look for, you don't know. But then here it is. And then Dawn, you had said that your family members were in this database as well, right?
Yes. Yes, my daughter, my granddaughter, I am, my mom is, my dad is, my sister is. We're all MK Ultra.
Yes. So what we're doing here, make sure again it's on the ClinVar drop down. So if you do MK Ultra after the name, then it tells you that all the germ lines, the genes are connected to that. But then if you look for like SARS-1 after her name, it drops down to only 2 of her genes are part of the SARS-1. And then let's look at SARS-2. SARS-2 has 378. So it varies, right? That's
Yep.
why I wanted to bring hers up, because she has a
All of them.
lot of genes in here. And another one was the monarch. And that's all of her genes. So that was the same thing with me. I was able to put MK Ultra and Monarch after my name, and all of the genes were associated with that. That to me, like I was explaining, and the targeted landscape, well, as you say, I think there's a lot of components here.
Mhm.
And sometimes maybe we're considered non-threat until we have a spiritual, an awakening. I know that at the end of 2011, I was like on a very spiritual quest, and with God. And my mother and my grandmother had gifts from the Holy Spirit, right? So and I myself have always felt that I had those gifts too, but their gifts may have been a little bit different, but gifts nonetheless from God. And I think that once we activate that spiritual awakening and that closer connection, and we're breaking away from what has been fed to us, and we start to question that, and we start to be that seeker of esoteric wisdom and enlightenment, and what our purpose is, and start to find out who we really are as an individual, then I think that can be a mechanism. But mine, I was working for a corrupt business, well connected, multimillionaire. I was speaking out in truth, but at the same time I was also doing this spiritual journey as well. So I think it was really a double whammy for me. I think there's something to that. I think there's so many layers to, how you can be a part of these programs. But Dawn, you had even mentioned, what was the other one? It was the SARS 1 and 2, and it was like, was it mirrors or
Yeah,
something?
mirrors.
So that's ME.
Yeah, RES.
So what is mirrors?
It's another form of COVID. It's just one of the ones that, the parasite grew into another parasite, or not parasite, but the virus mutated, right? So that's one of the mutations.
One of the mutations. Okay, so the MERS was one that was for me. I had the virus several times, but I was not, vaccinated. So, and you can see out of the 100 and something thousand germlines that Dawn had, I know the screen is really small, but only 11 of them related to MERS for her. And then
there was DARPA too.
Okay. Oh yes, DARPA. So DARPA is everything. So that's the whole lot, the 126, 249 genes. So kind of like the Ultra, because
Right.
even Ultra comes up, MK Ultra comes up here.
How about the helix?
Okay.
That's our triple helix, yeah.
So Ultra is 30, but MK Ultra is everything.
Right.
And then you said, I'm sorry, what did you say again?
Helix, Helix, Helix.
Oh, yes. So explain 456 of the genes is related to helix. Can you talk about the triple helix?
Yes. Okay. So the helix, from what I understand, is where you have 3 strands of DNA. 2 strands pair up, the other strand doesn't. So the other strand collects mutations, which would explain why I have so many clinical variances, right? So many mutations that could go active. So these are genes that I have a potential to come up later on and go active and start making me sick, right? So it picks up more and more every week, which is why my numbers keep growing every week, right?
Yes, and I had some DNA tests done on me when I was having so many problems with, toxin buildup within my system. Of course, being targeted 12 years doesn't help that matter, right? But, I know I had a mutation. I had a few things like you mentioned where the DNA was activated because it can be dormant and non-threat, right, until it gets activated. And one of the things that was activated in me was the MTFR, MTFR, I think. It relates back to like autoimmune. And so it was activated. That, is common, I think, with people with thyroid, issues too. So that was activated. So these things are kind of dormant until they become activated, but you can turn them back off. It's just, again, it's like information overload. When you start seeing this information published, about yourself, and you're seeing all of these people looking in it. Let's just see. I'm just going to pick a random one here. And again, if you scroll down, this is who is looking at it. Here's another genetics company or, research facility taking a look. And this one is Molecular Genetics, Royal Melbourne Hospital, Australia. Okay. So all over the world. So they're looking at the clinical variances of the people that are loaded into this database, and they are reviewing the information. Some of it will say like likely pathogenic, or, again, this isn't like it's activated, but, it has that the gene is there. So let's look at this sidebar of information too. What I found really interesting, and this was on me, it was on my grandmother and my mother. There were deletions. Can you tell in replications, like duplications? What have you found to understand what the deletions and duplications are?
Well, what's pretty, coincidental, is when I started the herbs and started getting my body clean, overnight, 9,000 of them were deleted on my chart. So, and I thought maybe they caught on that I was taking something, and they started deleting my files that I got in there and saw it, and they were deleting it. Okay. No, that's not
Yeah.
what's happening. The more I started treating myself, the more it started deleting out of my chart.
Wow. So the more that you were treating yourself, then the more the number was coming out and being deleted.
Yes.
See, and I found deletions in mine too. Maybe that could be, from, but again, it's almost like, it seems like this is some real time information, right? And
Right.
it's pretty, overwhelming and scary. Some of the stuff that you see listed. And like I said, not everybody's going to be in here, but I think because I'm an analyst, it has to be pretty black and white for me to have the buy-in on it. So I did my research, and like my grandmother's name is so unusual. Nobody in this world, has that first name. It was just some, I think, made up on the cuff, kind of first name. And I mean, I looked to see if there was any instances of this. And, you look at it, what ailments and stuff that they had. And it tells the story. And some of it is, okay, you see stuff that was non-relatable, meaning that, okay, I guess that didn't get activated, but some of the stuff really does line up to it. So this is like possibilities, it's all, and I think these markers that they're looking at and keeping track of. I tell you, it took me a while to process when you were showing me how the numbers were changing based off of project names. One of them that got your X shut down was Shimmer.
Right.
And I can bring up some information on that. Okay, so this one, did I spell it wrong? Because it doesn't show there.
It should SHIMMER.
Yeah, this one. Let's see. Maybe I need to go back. Maybe it timed out. Let's do this.
All right. Yeah, sometimes we have to, once you do like 10 searches, they make you reopen another.
Yeah, that's what I found when I was looking the other day too. Okay, this one's still not showing up. Maybe
close it out and open it up and see, because I'm wondering because they probably knew I was coming on today, right? So they wouldn't want that. This is supposed to be a new government one, so let's see if it's
NCBI.
Yeah.
Quinvar. Let me try that.
Okay.
So here we go.
Okay.
Let's just do that.
Because if not, then
Yeah, it's not there.
Wow. Okay. Well, I actually have the document that shows I was in there. That shows my Shimmer.
Well,
They
I
actually took
remember
a
because
picture.
I was on the phone with you and we were searching and I saw it myself. So, and again, it could be because it's saying that we uploaded the full submission template. Previous versions are no longer supported. Again, it could be because I was looking at too many things. But
Okay.
nonetheless, how wild is that? So
Right.
let me go to. I'm going to do this. Let's go since
It almost validates me getting my account shut down, huh?
because I mean
they give themselves away.
Yeah, I mean they do. They're they're pretty obvious a lot of times. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit play on my PowerPoint since I'm sharing screen right now. So it'll give you the bigger, but I wanted to play this one because tell me what this green blob is down. Is this like one of those parasites that was?
It's a seed. It looks like a seed and it came out of the bowel, right? So it's a little seed. And when I first noticed it, I had them in jars because I thought, and it opens up. Okay, that shell actually opens up. So I was trying to dissect that one and doing a live video, like trying to dissect it, right? And so I was trying to get it to where I could cut it open, and I put some stuff from a syringe in there to pour it on there, and it opens up a little bit and starts like blowing out this gas out of it, right? And I'm like,
Wow.
what?
Okay, I'm going to play it.
All right.
Wow. Look at that glowing. Oh, this is like something straight out of the movie Alien. I mean,
right. And so, and with this being
wow.
genetically engineered, I think, is what they want us to think is it's aliens. Or would you actually have aliens? Like, I don't know, right? But that is definitely a little dragon blowing that like gases out of, and this is underwater that it's doing that, right? And I said fireballs, but there's no fire under that water, right?
That is crazy because it blew something circular out of it when you did it the first time. I mean,
it did 3 of them actually. I have the video. It's 3. Yeah, I just shortened it for the way we could see it.
Wow. I mean, unbelievable.
And if you look at that circle and look at the one I sent you from the one in the sky, they're identical to the T.
Look at this. I mean, wow. I mean, this is it's amazing. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to play these two because, again, there have been many discussions, post virus that, about, the clotting of the blood and these fibrous, clots. Well, they don't, when the embalmers were finding them and everything, of course, it was post-mortem, but these these were alive and not so much clotting. These things were like parasitical, right? Because they were moving. So here's one, because it starts moving, right? This one.
Right. He's got little propellers, like the propellers are swimming under the water and they're turning.
Wow. And this one over here, let me see.
When I drop the blood in it, yeah, and one right raises up to the top when I drop some blood in there, but it's standing in there. It's like suspended in motion, right?
Oh my. Wow.
And there's two of them in there, yeah.
Wow.
So when they tell me the fiber clots are not alive, I'm like, I'm gonna second that. Like, I'm not gonna, like, I disagree with them.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. Okay, tell me what with the blue and the squiggly lines. What is this about?
Okay, so there was somebody that started taking the herbs, and they were out in Phoenix, Arizona, and they went and bought a microscope. Okay, and so he calls me up and he tells me, "Look at my blood under the microscope." I said, "Hang up the phone and go to the ER right now. You're gonna die." And I was really upset. Like, and he's like, "I'm not going." And the next day they were pretty much gone. But he started the herbs, and so those were the blood. That's what was happening under his blood slide at the time in his microscope. And if you see, it's like the silkworm or the C. elegans, whatever worm it is, right, is connecting to each other and just in and out of his blood all over the place.
Right. Yeah.
And there's lots of them.
Yes. I
So,
think this one has a video too.
okay.
Wow.
Like you'll see him
Whoa.
connecting. Watch, yeah.
Yeah. Whoa.
Oh, watch, it gets worse. Yeah. And that goes with what you were saying earlier, how they bond together
They are
and
bonded. They're
bond a shield.
strengthening.
Yeah, make a shield.
They're making a shield because
They're bonding together down here. Exactly.
Good. It is like, wow.
Watch this one from the top up there in the corner. Watch it.
Whoa.
And it starts swinging down, and it's just amazing what it does. It's like, that's so scary. Watch this.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Yeah. See, I mean, this is a prime example. Here is someone, led by God, doing research, following the cues of God to heal herself and, heal her blood and her family. And then because of what she has discovered and her bravery to speak about it to help others, because you had said that God revealed to you that this is your sole mission is to help people on,
Yeah, to expose it.
And when you're called by God, even, look what there was an attempt to harm her and her family and animals, and it didn't unfold because God is the shield.
Yeah, I felt that angel wrap her wings around me that night.
I mean, windows blown out, doors blown off. The blast was so strong that it peeled the paint off of her car. I mean,
And I don't have one scratch or one burn.
no, but everybody was okay, except, the fur baby had some less hair, but was still okay. That's amazing. And this one over here is just
That was the one that was swimming in the jar.
wow. Just amazing. And it's just, and you found on the NIH website the patents and everything for the silkworm and the ways of introducing it to the body, right? It could be in gels, it could be airborne,
water.
So,
and it's not drinking the water, it's bathing in the water, you guys. It's taking a bath that it will penetrate through our skin and go into our body. So that's alarming because we all take a bath in just regular water.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Okay, so this was what got Dawn's account suspended. So she says in the post, wonder how long we have really been betrayed will look into a project called Shimmer. It's on my computer. Maybe someone should ask NCBI or our military, because I sure want to know, since my computer has them all in it. Experiment, like they just say it, like, yeah. So the Shimmer you found in your computer. So you were looking into your logs and stuff and found that code, the Project Shimmer
Yeah, I
reference
didn't even know it existed. Like, I had no idea what that was, and it says experiment. And I'm like, Shimmer experiment. Like, what is that?
in your
And sure enough,
computer. You found
yep,
this
yep.
in a log. So we know that, it's possible by a particular 3-letter agency to get into anybody's computer and see your phone or whatever. So on the right hand side, it says that the Shimmer project is a highly classified government project that involves the development of advanced artificial intelligence for military applications. The project is led by a group of scientists and engineers who have been working closely with the U.S. Department of Defense. The goal of the project is to create AI systems that can operate autonomously, and perform complex tasks in military operations. The AI systems are designed to be intelligent, adaptable, and capable of making decisions in real-time combat environments. However, the project is not only about developing AI systems, but also about creating a new breed of super soldiers through genetic engineering and neural implants. There you go. Bomb, drop the mic moment, right? So how many minutes after this was posted did your X page go down?
I think within 2 hours.
Well, that's pretty telling.
Yeah.
And all of us that have experienced government weaponization, experimentation, and torture, directed energy, weapons being used on us, innocent, law-abiding civilians, know exactly what it feels like to be on that brunt end of, okay, silencing or attempting to silence. It's really just, here we go, is another example of what we go through on a regular basis. All right, let me get back to my podcast screen so I can see everybody here. There we go. Awesome. I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay.
And let's see. There we go.
Really quick here, I wanted to say this. When you start out and you think that you found something that could help people, right? And you're excited that you found something that could help people, and then you find out people are mad at you and angry at you and want to kill you because you're helping people. It just surprised me, right? I wasn't expecting that.
Yes, the fact that you found this Shimmer experiment in your computer. So, let's just try to connect the dots on that. So you were able to get into the computer and find this. You found other references in this in your computer too. With you want to give some examples of that?
Yeah, that's all she wrote was one of them.
All she wrote.
Mm. Yeah, that was before the bomb before the explosion.
So you found a reference that said all she wrote, and
That's all she wrote. Yeah, and
that's all she wrote.
And AI said it was coming from the Helix team, anonymously Helix onto my computer. So, I didn't know about the Helix neither, and I put my name in there, and I'm in that too. So, kind of made me wonder.
It just really, there's so many layers to this, so many tentacles of, again, it is just the most extreme violation against and disrespect of life form to be subjected to this. It's non-consensual. There's just something about us, obviously, that we created a blip on the radar for them to take note of us. And maybe it's just because there's a light within us that is a threat to darkness, and they know it.
Yep.
Whether it be, genetics,
Bloodlines.
and it's amazing.
You could
So
put chosen in there too, and it'd come up with your chosen genes.
you're chosen. Oh, really? Oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness. Oh my
Yep.
goodness.
Yep.
Wow. Wow. You had, let's see, there was this one image that I didn't have time to load, but it showed like kind of it was like a chart where you could see, and it was a lot of red. Were those like the edits in your DNA, or what was that image about?
That was somebody that passed away, that they did to that person. They edited and added genes and deleted genes, and they could do that with the edit CRISPR. Okay, so that was that person's, that you said that we couldn't say their name or post a picture.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was how many they did to that person. That person was only 14 years old and had all those edits already by that time. The person didn't have a chance.
Hey, again, it's pretty amazing what you found. Let me bring that back up about the Shimmer project. And again, we know that there's a lot going on in these times right now, and people just, they seem to be activated, and they do these things, people, even claiming that something was put in them, that again, it's the non-consensual experimentation, no matter, all different types of walks of life, having these atrocities happen to them. But when we'll go to that one in just a second. But for this one here, where it says, in this newer project, the one that got your ex, this post got your ex shut down, it's about creating a new breed of super soldiers.
Yeah, I had a question for them on this Shimmer project. Whoever's doing this, I'd like to know, does that mean that I am one of their projects, that one of their already created, or am I my own person, or are they studying my genes to put that into somebody to make them a super robot? Like that, I have some questions on that one,
Yeah, really. It just seems like, they try to, act, and it's very, from those that I've spoke with that were definitely part of the MK Ultra program and Monarch, you're taking a young child and you're splintering the mind with trauma induced events so that they can be easily programmed and possess, multiple personalities and, recall. And it kind of goes, this stuff has been going on for a long time. And the fact that you discovered this, Shimmer experiment on your computer, and then took the initiative to take a look and see, well, what does that mean, along with that's all she wrote right before your house exploded. It's just it's mind-boggling. So you felt very called to help others. Let's talk about, like, I have been doing the holy basil and the neem. These are, just herbs, right? And
Mm-hmm.
but then, the holy basil was what was eating away at the graphene and the parasites. So those linked up, parasites that we saw, they were bonding together, trying to unite in a concentrated effort, solidarity to strengthen themselves. But still, it was eroding away at it, just by adding the Tulsi,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the Africanum strain of the Tulsi, which is the holy basil. There's multiple strains of it, but you had found that farmers that had the Tulsi as part of their offering were being, sabotaged or vandalized and such.
Yeah, AI told me that supposedly, now I got in touch with him yesterday and was trying to, to validate that information that I received, that his farm was targeted and that they wrote graffiti on his wall that said the serpent will rise.
And this is a farmer that carried the Tulsi, the African version of it. So vandalization, the serpent will rise, and so within the blood, the parasite, maybe they're referring to that serpent will rise, and the Tulsi was, you know, getting in the way of that, I guess. I will say this about the holy basil. When I met Dawn at a Targeted Justice monthly meeting, she gave me some, and at that time, I had extreme swelling in my legs and my feet, and I started doing research after talking with Dawn, and it said that it helped with inflammation and oxidative stress. I tested high with oxidative stress and methylation imbalance, and all of those things when I got, did a lot of testing early last year. And within 2 days of taking just the tea version of it, just doing a cup of it a day, my swelling in my legs and my feet were gone, and have been gone ever since I've been doing it. So to me, that was a huge blessing. But then when I saw what it was doing, in the blood, even my own blood, like the graphene, I was surprised to see that graphene there. But we have to know that this stuff, these contaminants, are in the air, in the water, and in food source. So we have to be very careful, take a little bit more time to be selective in making sure that, we're doing the most that we can before ingesting. I mean, obviously we have to go outside, right? So we really can't do nothing about that. We have to go outside and we have to live and take care of things. But the things that we can do to kind of support the body and the detoxification process. But then you found, interesting enough, that even they found ways to kind of taint that supply of the holy basil with coating it with like a fungus. But then you found a workaround on that by just spraying it with Everclear to get that dust off of it and let
Like they
it dry
sprayed with
out.
it, yeah.
Yeah. So I just recently I bought some of that for mine, but again, my legs and my feet, it also help. There's other benefits of it. It's can help with, anxiousness, anxiety, just
Diabetes.
yeah. There's a lot of benefits to it. And you found that the neem accompanied with the holy basil was helpful in pulling out the parasites from the tissue.
Yeah, the nematodes. Yep.
Pretty amazing. And again,
Melissa, when I met you guys, I went down there to give you guys that website's information, right? How to log in and how to use that. And I remember sitting at the table and you guys said, well, are you here for the MK Ultra? And I'm like, oh, I'm not one of you guys. And I said, oh, no, no, no. Sat there, talked to everybody for an hour. I came back to the table and I was like, I think I might be one of you guys. And I had no clue yet.
Yes. And I mean, especially, I mean, because you've also felt like, directed energy, within your home, and, some of the other symptoms that, we go through. But you did recently find some relief you want to explain about that portable generator and the baby monitor?
Yeah, so I got a portable solar panel uh, it's a here, I'll show it to you guys here really quick. It's a portable unit that you plug into the wall, or and I hook up the baby monitor, I turn it on, I make sure these buttons are pressed, and it's like a it like a scrambler kind of, right? It helps. It helps. I don't hear the ringing in the house no more. And it does the whole house, surprisingly. So and then it also lets you know, like when they're hitting your Wi-Fi, it'll start making a loud noise, and I know to go over there and unplug my Wi-Fi for the night, for however long.
Wow. So that the baby monitor plugged into the generator, and that's like a solar powered one. So once
Yes.
the solar power it's charged up, then you unplug it, then you plug in the baby monitor.
Right.
So
And don't have it plugged into the wall or nothing like that. It has to be unplugged. Yeah.
yeah, so it's away from a power source. It's not plugged directly into the power source, is what I'm saying.
Yep.
The generator, the solar generator, is independent, and the baby monitor is plugged into that. And so when things start going off, then okay, they're messing with your Wi-Fi, and but you feel better when it's on, and it's like it's interfering with the signaling that is directed at you and the ringing you said.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
don't feel like there's like anything tightening in my legs anymore, because I would feel like when the graphene, they would hit the graphene, maybe, or I don't know what they're doing, right? But it just felt that way, that they would be, and it would tighten, like it was starting to activate something. So that stops it for some reason.
wow. So I mean that makes sense. I mean, graphene, is obviously metal, and in just like, well, we know just from certain frequencies and sounds can shift, water, and our bodies are made up of, a lot of water, and so it kind of makes sense that if we're getting hit by that, we all know what it feels like to have like the zaps, the electrical little shocks, the ringing in the ears, the pain and the pressure in the head and different areas of the body. So it seems to help with that for you.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
And do you want to talk about this? This was, it looks like it was a screenshot from the NCBI. It says conserved domain database, the CDD page for
Okay, that's with the Dragon 1. That was Dragon 1. When I went into Dragon 1, and you go on all database at the NCBI's website. So instead of us dropping down to ClinVar, we just leave it at all database, and you type in Dragon 1. Okay, when you go in there, there's a clinical domain, right? And there's only one, and you type on that, and that's when it pulls up all the serpentines that is related to this nematode, okay, to the Dragon 1 nematode. And it's got, hear me out, it's got serpent silkworm, silken nematode, serpent, everything's serpent, okay? And then when you hit that, it brings up, as you can see down below there, the second page, it brings up all the sequences and then the other animals that have that. So when I was able to modify SARS-CoV-2 genetically with using proteins from animals, 14 animals, those animals are part of that list. So let's say that they use a serpent silkworm, okay? Those would go down there and it'll tell you if it came from a human, fish, a rat, a ferret, whatever is down below in that box, it'll tell you that gene that they took or that protein from that animal to make that chemical in your body.
Wow. And I mean, it's just like, it really is just mind blowing. And again, right out in plain sight. Nobody,
Yep.
if you don't know what to look for, you don't know what to look for. And some of these, did you ever see any references of, the dragon or silkworm or anything like that on your computer? Or no? You just found all this information on their database.
Right. So one time I was starting to shake because I felt the presence of me being led, right, by my higher power God. And so I go into this database and I'm typing whatever he wants me to type. And one of them was dragon. And I'm thinking, well, I call myself the Dragon Slayer, and that was just, being comical back then and stuff like that. But it put a whole new meaning to that word, right? So,
It
but I
sure
went in and I
did.
put Dragon 1, and I pull it up, and I'm like, okay, this is related to SARS somehow, and I didn't know yet how to piece it all together. And this took me many years to get to where I am today. But I knew that was a valuable piece of information because he led me there, right? It wasn't me just stumbling across it. So that one was something that I kept going back to. And when I finally found that it was related to all the serpentines, genes and other animals that could make up those things for us, it was really mind-blowing what was really all in there.
It's, it's just when you think you've heard it all and seen it all, then there's something right around the corner. And we, as being part of the targeting journey, feel like we have been abreast to things that most just will never get or understand unless they go through it. But when you see this level, and again, to me, it's layer upon layer of deception and deceit. That we, we understand our God-given right, our divine birthright. This is not God's plan for us to be experimented on and to be mutated and deceived and lied to. But again, the evil powers of greed, power, control, the lust, all the crazy stuff, right? That they try to interject with all of this. It just, if people are not questioning everything at this point of what, and I'm talking about non-targets, then they're going to just be swept up with in the tide, right? Because this is the time to be questioning everything, and to definitely nothing on mainstream is believable to me. I don't even need to turn that on. I let God be the one that guides me to information. And like you start researching based off what you feel you're led by God. And I tell you that Spirit, the Holy Spirit always brings the receipts, because it just amazes me how these key words that you may get, and then you research it and you have black and white proof after what was guided to you. And again, this to me spells out the threat about, this is why, there's such a effort to silence this information. The whole world would be going nuts if they knew that this kind of mutations existed, but it's there plain on this website. It's all there. And that how they take those specific genes from different animals. Now, they always say that when these, viruses or elements come out, that it came from an animal, right? So we're like, well, how are bats joining together to, try to debunk humans? All of a sudden this come from a bat, or this came from a cow, or this came from a chicken, right? But when you see this kind of information on this website, how specific genes were selected from, animals, and, and commingled with human DNA, there it is. What is, you're constantly on a trajectory of finding out more and more information all the time. But what has really been the most shocking thing that you have discovered to date?
That they're probably making clones.
Well,
there's even one that says, how many does this person have of clones on their database?
You found that on the database? How many
clones does this person have?
Wow. I think I remember you showing me that text.
Yeah.
And was that on your computer too? Or was that?
Okay, yeah. So when I went onto my computer here the last couple of days, I found another article that went back to January 1st, 1970. That's 3 years before I was born. Took those little codes off there, put it in NCBI, and it came back to a hospital that was cloning people in Michigan. My mom was out in Indiana, so Michigan's pretty close, right? So I'm wondering, right, like, were they cloning people, just our genes? Like, what are they, like, I have questions, and we all do probably, but to see that insight is pretty disturbing. But yeah, so I'm thinking, well, am I a clone? Am I a person? Like, what am I, right? Who am I? Like, so yeah, so anyways, that was some of the latest that I found.
And there, I have seen, and heard talks of that as well. You take the and there have been studies where, they take, a pet and they clone it. And I've seen, documentaries on it, and the animal of the departed pet that was, replicated had the same traits and the same appearance. So if they can do that, and they've been doing that, and I mean, this was years ago, then I mean, any living organism would kind of fall under that umbrella of, replication. But it really is, every day it is, just more and more is revealing. There was a question from Tracy T that says, can you host a class on how to research on that website? So that might be something to consider, do maybe a teleconference where you share your screen and teach others how to look at this research.
Yeah, I could probably do a YouTube.
That would be great. And so when Dawn does that and gets that organized, I can make sure that I post it on the Chosen Hero channel. So great idea, Tracy.
Right.
B. And I know others have commented about, it's amazing that this information is online. It's just like it's just right in plain sight. But if you don't know how to, look it up or what to look for, right, then you don't know. But I can tell you that when I saw myself, of course, you immediately feel, okay, well, I've been violated in such, unthinkable ways to date as it is. But then when I saw that, I was like, again, here is another layer of violation that has been done against my person. I never consented to have
Never.
my DNA uploaded into the NIH database. Now they're clever with and this is where you really, really, really have to start looking at what you are signing, in terms of, doctor orders, testing, and such. It's like at some point you have to have your levels checked, but you're not consenting to have it, presented over to a third party where, it's just it's really sad and sickening that we are viewed as property of the government, and instead of being our own individual, beings with a divine birthright. It's like, just because there's no owner of this earth other than God, and man has gone sideways with it, thinking that everybody is a commodity and a property of it. And I'm sure this will be shadow banned, but but I mean, look at what is evolving, one
Yeah.
right after another. It's like the only sanctuary that there is God.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
to connect with him and to ascend and to get that guidance and to be reminded of who you are and your capabilities. These are your divine birthrights. This is your mantle. Every day, I proclaim, I know who I am. I'm a child of God, and God covers me, and I claim my divine birthright and mantle, and no one of this earth or otherwise can and take that from me. We have to be so solid in knowing who we are, and not what is we're being subjected to. I mean, they're coming at us hard with this, stuff. But again, to me, I've said it before. We seem to be beta testers, right? So we're being subjected to these frequencies. I think, There is, the ones that are going to be a little bit harder to win versus those that are not. And again, this is all it can be subliminal, it's silent. You didn't know it was there until you started to pick up on the synchronicities and the patterns. But now that we are awakened to, okay, we're obviously part of a program that nobody wants to talk about. We're treated like a dirty little secret, right? That
Right.
nobody has the guts to pony up to, because if they pony up to it, then mass chaos unfolds, that, oh, this was allowed and this has happened. But the right thing to do for those that are in power, and I hope that this even reaches someone with the knowledge to whistleblow on some of this information, because there are rights that protect a whistleblower, not a civilian that wants to speak about it, who gets labeled a psychotic,
Mhm.
put on a 72-hour hold, or labeled schizophrenic and discredited and character assassinated. But for those that have the hard evidence that this is what these programs are, and this is what it's a part of, and here it is for consumption, so that they're all avenues of deniability can be dried up, and that's what it's going to take. So we're just continuing to make our waves of awareness and what has been done and what we've been subjected to, the anomalous health incidents that we have suffered as a result of the directed energy that has been done to us. And we have to keep, being that squeaky wheel. And is there something else that you would like to share, like some of your findings?
Yeah, I wanted to say this to everybody. It kind of gave me some closure to the website, because then it validates that we're not crazy, okay, and that we are part of these projects and these experiments, okay. So that kind of gave my heart some, reassurance that, okay, I'm not like out in left field or right field, and if I am, at least it's, documented that we're in this experiment. So that kind of made me feel a little bit better. Although my personal information is out there, it still validated that I'm not in left field all the way, right? That I'm still somewhat with my feet grounded on the ground.
Absolutely. I mean, that is helpful. I mean, it is another layer of validation. I was like, okay, when I thought it was circumstantial, I ended up at a place, a business that was corrupt, with someone with a lot of power and political connections, and all over the place. I was told by a law office that this person has unlimited resources, deep pockets, and associations all over the place. They wouldn't touch it. So sorry it was happening to me, but there was nothing that they could do to help me because of that. So that's where I think that I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to relent. I'm not going to surrender to this. That's where the shift happens, I think, is that, okay, you go externally trying to get help. Every door is shut in your face. You're discredited, you're shamed, you're labeled. Nobody believes you. It's just too much for their mind to grasp. Then that's where you have to go inward, and that's where you have to connect, with God. You have to.
Jesus's path too. Like, he was sent down here to expose the corruption, right? And
Mm.
people shamed him, and you just explained his whole life journey and our journey too. It's amazing what you just said.
And it gives me chills. I mean, because, spirit is within us, and once that light is turned on within us, it can never be turned off. Once we
You know,
awaken and we connect with him, and with spirit, with a higher power, it cannot be turned off, because that is our rock, that is our truth. And every day I just pray to have eyes that see the truth, ears to hear it, and the discernment that everything that I do is of him and not of this world, right? Of the corruption, and to be able to see through, the smoke and mirrors that is out there. We have a very important task at hand as those that carry the torch of the truth right? And of the light. And that is to get out of our comfort zone. It's scary. This territory that we're in is just, it is a very scary, but the narrowest path is always, it's always the holiest and the most rewarding and fulfilling. And to be able to, I think we lost Dawn, so let me see if I can get her back. Isn't it funny? We start talking about these things, everyone, and stuff starts happening. I know my head is burning and tingling right now, but that doesn't stop me, because the truth is more important than anything that can, come against me. And we need to know that what comes against those that are brave to tell the truth and us to share what has happened to us comes against God and all of light. So just remember that. They will try to diminish, to make you feel, minuscule, and that nobody will listen to. It doesn't matter if those out in this world who don't understand what we go through believe. It is about, sending out those waves, because somebody is right on the other side of that, needing that in that moment. And we have to trust God is going to get that person to tune in to see that post right at that very moment of criticalness for this individual. And then there goes their awakening and their enlightenment and their learning and their research. So don't think that you aren't reaching people when you don't get a response, but you're planting the seeds, and let God be the one that, that will fertilize that and activate it when it's needed. So this is what the experience has been about. And I said this earlier, we have to start viewing this targeted journey, as an experience, right? To me, when I look back on my life since childhood, I think there's Dawn joining us again.
Pretty much
Hi,
everything
Dawn.
I would have put in just with.
Oh, wait, there we are.
Yeah, there you are. It disconnected, and I was like, she'll join back. So I'm glad that you were able to join. Oops, let me get you back. I meant to move the slide and not you. So let me remove that. Okay, great. So what I was explaining, and let me see if this resonates with you. So I would say since childhood, yeah, since can you hear me,
I
Dawn?
can't hear.
Oh no. Can everybody hear me? I can hear Dawn, but you can't hear me. Can everyone hear me? All right. If you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up. Say yes, I can hear. But I want people to start. Awesome. Thank you, Katya. So I want to say this, and it takes some time to kind of see and put all the bigger picture together. But I can see that from childhood and the experiences, that I encountered, they were really shaping and preparing me for this experience. Yeah. Sometimes the traumatic things, the grief, and the most difficult, trials of life, which, the targeted journey is part of that. They are the greatest teachers, and they gave us the wisdom. They taught us how to, they taught us how we had to tap into our internal strength and our perseverance to never relent and to overcome. And then it kind of like it was this build up, and then here's the targeted experience. But if I had not gone through some of the things that I did, from a child to present, I don't think I could have survived this. So this is how we can shift what has been done to us in a non-consensual, very violating, biological, mentally, way. in this experience, and take the wisdom that has come from it. That and again, I'm 12 years into this. Well, is it now? I think it's 13. How time flies, right? But see, this is what I'm talking about. Is I This has been one heck of a journey, and I've learned so much along the way, but it really does teach you about how strong you are and how resilient, and to keep going and to find things that can help and assist you in a daily basis as you're going through the gauntlet of what they're throwing at you, whether it be directed energy, voice to skull, gang stalking, all of these things. It's everything that is being done is to throw you off course and to put your reaction on center stage. So let's think about that. How we respond to what is being done to us is what they want. And if it is a neutral response, we have won, because we didn't give them what they needed, because they want to set you up for failure, to be discredited, character assassinated, incarcerated, and to have that isolation and that rejection, the grief of the former life and what you had before. And we need to start writing new pages on our chapter of life, the one of the warrior path, the one of the conqueror, the overcomer, the oppression, over the breaking of the chains of the strongholds that is being done against us. Each and every one of us have within ourselves to ignite that eternal flame of light and that connection, to see ourselves as the unique, beautiful individual that we are, and to embrace all parts of who we are, even the ones that we reject. They are the ones, the rejected parts. Carl Jung says the shadow aspects of the personality, the anger, all of those things, the undesirable bits of who we are, it makes the whole. So we have to embrace that, because those undesirable ones are where some of the fighter of us is in that too. So we really have to integrate with all parts of who we are, and love ourselves even in those undesirable moments, because this is who we are, and this is what has gotten us through the day-to-day of being a targeted person. This is, again, I say this all the time, it is the kryptonite. They do not want us to embrace our self-power and to see our self-worth and to heal and let go of trauma. Hard to let go of trauma when it's perpetual, right? This is like the multi-million-dollar question of, okay, how can you heal while being subjected on a 24/7 of torture? Well, again, that's where you have to find your countermeasures. You cannot let it win. And again, the reaction is the bait. They are really trying to bait you with every little thing that they do to you physically and mentally. And, with the gang stalking, the street theater, the voice to skull, all the garbage coming out of, the auditory stuff. I mean, the sickest level, sick of the tactics that they use with the auditory and everything. But you have to understand, it's a bait. It's a bait for you, and they want you to take it and run with it. So what we need to do as a community is not take the bait, and to keep going. We have to get back into our life. We have to get the needle moving on our life again. We have to do the things that bring us joy. Think back in your childhood. What was some little something that you like to do? Do that. You have to give yourself grace in this experience. You are in a gauntlet of a targeting experience. You are being subjected to the most sophisticated advanced technology and bodily biointerference out there. And you have to start seeing yourself as a superhero, because you're standing and you're navigating it. So, don't give them the win for the day. You've got to put self-care into your routine, and to mitigate all of the distractions and that the stumbling blocks that they put before you, because your reaction to it is what makes it successful. And I know it's hard, and if you fall off the horse, get back up and ride again. And some days we're crawling on the floor, some days we're on our knees, and some days we're walking and running. But we have to give ourselves grace, and not every day is going to be the same. So you have to just keep moving forward. It doesn't look like Dawn is able to join us again, but let me take a look at the chat here. Bellin had said, have you experienced divine intervention through being targeted on multiple occasions? I would say one of my lowest points, I was sitting on the bathroom floor. I was at the end of the rope, and I was just like, I didn't know what to do. I mean, this was in the beginning, because they were coming really hard at me in the beginning. And I felt the presence of God say to me, if you get to the root of the pain that they are causing you, it won't hurt you anymore. So then that led me down to studying psychology of sociopaths and narcissists and stalkers, because that's what they felt like to me. When you're going through the street theater and the gang stalking, and even that began in my work, in the workplace where I was, it began there, the taunting and the bullying. Taunting and bullying was not an old, that was an old friend from my childhood, because I got picked on. So this is how I say that, going through that experience as a child, being picked on for, being overweight, and, liking rock and roll and metal music, and not all the bubblegum stuff, that everybody else was listening to, all of that. That right there was, that was how I had that toughened skin, and I had that resilience come up. So all of these experiences, and again, the divine intervention multiple times, things just being revealed to me that was very helpful to me. There was countless, and always I'm always receiving something that is very helpful. So I'm grateful for that, because the psychology part of it that I started immersing, then you can start seeing the patterns of what's being done to make you stumble. So that's why I was very guided to start studying, the mindset of mobbing, gaslighting, gaslighter, narcissist, psycho, and sociopaths, and what they call mob mentality. That is where you get to understand the mind of a predator, which these systems, this program is very predative, right? So then you understand that, they're really trying to bait you. And that was the most helpful to me. And that was God that directed that to me. So I had to get into the psychology of how these programs were designed, to understand the mindset behind it, and the handlers. Because, you've got those handlers out there that are trying to push your buttons and get that, they get, money and coin for every successful, win that you took the bait. So that's why I always say, don't take the bait. because that is exactly what they are trying to do. I appreciate your sweet comments. I'm reading through these. You know, sometimes when we, I'll say this, sometimes when we're looking for an answer and a word from God, and we're not hearing anything, we might need to, go into nature and ground. I think grounding is very important. You can ground by putting your feet, getting out there in nature too, and just, observing, water, park, whatever. And sometimes, the answer is within, but we're feeling kind of blocked and stuck. So, and sometimes it's we're blocked and we're stuck because we're overwhelmed. We're overstimulated from being targeted and attacked. And when we're overstimulated and we're too much in our head and we're under a lot of pain and we're suffering, it's hard to make that connection. So that's why I say you have to try to go take a walk, do something that, maybe some serene or peaceful environment. You've